Ever notice how some of Bluey's episodes just hit differently? Those episodes where the healer family faces moments of true isolation, separation, or deep emotional longing? If you found yourself unexpectedly tearing up during what's supposed to be a kid's show, you're definitely not alone. Let's talk about Bluey's top 8 most loneliest episodes that perfectly capture those bittersweet moments of solitude that resonate with both kids and adults. Episode number 8, Wagon Ride, when learning independence feels lonely. Starting our countdown at number 8 is Wagon Ride, an episode that might not immediately jump to mind when thinking about loneliness, but it brilliantly captures that first taste of independence that can feel equal parts exciting and isolating. In this episode, Bluey desperately wants to pull her own wagon instead of having Dad do it. But what makes this episode so powerful is how it portrays the reality of getting what you wish for. As Bluey struggles to pull the wagon up the hill by herself, we see that first moment of realization that independence isn't always easy. The scene where she's huffing and puffing, all alone in her struggle, while Dad patiently waits, perfectly captures that feeling of, I wanted this, but I didn't know it would be so hard. What elevates this episode is Bandit's approach. He doesn't immediately rush in to rescue Bluey from her self-imposed challenge. Instead, he allows her to experience the natural consequences of her choice while remaining a supportive presence nearby. Episode number 7, Copycat, when loss creates a void. Our number 7 spot goes to the emotionally charged episode Copycat, which tackles one of the hardest kinds of loneliness, the emptiness left behind by loss. What makes this episode particularly powerful is how it uses a seemingly simple copycat game to explore complex feelings of grief and helplessness. The episode begins innocently enough, with Bluey copying everything her dad does, but it takes a turn when they discover an injured bird. The central theme emerges as they try to help the bird, only to later learn that it didn't survive. This creates a profound moment of emptiness for Bluey, that feeling when something that was there is suddenly gone, leaving a void that can't be filled. Will the birdie be okay? Bluey asks, and her dad's honest answer, I don't know, he looked pretty knocked around, introduces children to the reality that sometimes, despite our best efforts, we can't control outcomes. The scene at the vet's office, with its clinical white walls and quiet atmosphere, perfectly captures that sterile, isolating feeling that often accompanies moments of loss. Episode number 6, The Sleepover, when dreams and reality feel disconnected. Coming in at number 6 is The Sleepover, an episode that brilliantly captures the strange isolation that comes from being caught between dreams and reality. This episode gives us a unique perspective on loneliness through the character of Muffin, who's experiencing sleep deprivation. I am a flamingo girl, Muffin declares in her sleep-deprived state, and while it's played for laughs, there's something profoundly lonely about her experience. She's physically present with her family, but mentally in her own world, unable to properly connect with those around her. This creates a peculiar form of isolation where Muffin is surrounded by people who care about her, yet she's trapped in her own disoriented reality. What makes this episode so powerful is how it captures that feeling of being out of sync with everyone else, a form of loneliness that many of us have experienced when we're going through something that others around us don't understand. Episode number 5, Space, when you're longing for solitude. Our 5th spot goes to Space, an episode that flips our understanding of loneliness on its head by exploring how, sometimes, seeking isolation can be a response to deeper emotional needs. This episode centers around Mackenzie, who repeatedly tries to distance himself from the group during their space game. I want to pretend that you leave me behind and I'm all alone, Mackenzie tells his friends, a request that seems puzzling until we understand the deeper meaning behind it. This episode is particularly impactful in that it reveals that Mackenzie's desire for solitude stems from his experience with parental separation. He's working through his feelings by recreating and controlling a situation where he's left alone. The scene where Mackenzie deliberately sends himself into the black hole alone is visually stunning and emotionally powerful. As he floats through space by himself, we see his internal struggle externalized in a way that's both beautiful and heartbreaking. Episode number 4, Army, when you feel different from everyone else. Taking the 4th spot in our countdown is Army, an episode that powerfully portrays the loneliness that comes from feeling different and struggling to fit in. Through Jack's experience as the new kid with apparent ADHD-like symptoms, we witness the isolation that comes from being unable to meet expectations in the way others seem to do effortlessly. "I couldn't sit still as usual," Jack explains in the car, immediately establishing his awareness of his differences. What makes this episode particularly poignant is how it shows Jack's self-esteem has already been affected by his past experiences. When Rusty asks if Jack can follow orders, we see Jack's immediate doubt, that moment of dejection that comes from expecting to fail because you've been made to feel different. The episode brilliantly contrasts Jack's struggles in traditional settings with his success in the structured, active environment of Rusty's Army game. When Jack perfectly recalls hand signals despite his usually poor memory, we see how isolating it can be to be judged based on situations that don't play to your strengths. Episode number 3, Granddad, the loneliness of growing older. Coming in at number 3 on our list is Granddad, an episode that explores a different kind of loneliness, the isolation that can come with aging and the fear of being a burden to those you love. This episode masterfully balances playfulness with profound emotional depth as it follows Chilli's concerns about her father's health. When we see him uprooting a stump despite being told to rest, we understand his fear that accepting help might mean accepting a diminished role in the lives of those he loves. There's a profound loneliness in that fear and feeling like you might become a burden rather than a source of strength for your family. The chase through the bush becomes a metaphor for Granddad's resistance to his changing capabilities. As he keeps moving and keeps trying to outrun Chilli's concern, we see his determination to hold on to his role as the protector rather than the protected. But the physical exertion takes its toll, showing the reality of his condition despite his efforts to deny it. Episode number 2, Onesies, the isolating experience of infertility. Our runner-up for the loneliest Bluey episode is Onesies, a profoundly moving exploration of the isolation that comes with infertility and the pain of watching others have what you desperately want. Through Brandy's visit after a 4-year absence, we witness one of the most emotionally raw portrayals of loneliness in the entire series. The episode begins with Brandy's hesitation at the door, immediately establishing her emotional struggle before she even enters. This small moment brilliantly captures the isolation that comes from carrying a burden that makes even normal social interactions difficult. When she finally sees Bingo and remarks, "Just like you," to Chilli, the weight of her unspoken grief is palpable. This episode is especially powerful in its depiction of the unusual contrast between physical presence and emotional detachment. Brandy is there with their family, who loves her, but her pain creates an invisible barrier that separates her from fully connecting with them. When she tries to escape outside saying, "I'm sorry, it's been so long. It's just hard seeing you all, you know," we understand that her absence wasn't from a lack of love, but from self-preservation. Episode number 1, Camping, the profound loneliness of unexpected goodbyes. Taking the top spot in our countdown of Bluey's loneliest episodes is the unforgettable Camping, an episode that captures the heart-wrenching isolation of unexpected goodbyes and the emptiness left in their wake. This masterpiece of storytelling earns its place at number 1 for how it portrays the unique loneliness of forming a deep connection only to have it suddenly severed. The episode begins with the joy of friendship as Bluey meets Jean-Luc, a French-speaking child who's camping nearby. Despite the language barrier, they form an immediate bond, communicating through play and gesture in a way that transcends words. The montage of their adventures together, building a lean-to, exploring the creek, sharing food, beautifully establishes the depth of their connection. What makes this episode particularly powerful is the sudden, unexpected way their friendship is cut short. When Bluey wakes up to find Jean-Luc's family packing to leave, the language barrier becomes a poignant metaphor for the helplessness we feel when facing separation. Unable to fully express her feelings or understand why he has to go, Bluey experiences that devastating moment of watching someone important disappear from her life without proper closure. Which of these lonely moments resonated with you the most? Let us know in the comments section below. And do watch our video about Bluey's top 8 most saddest episodes.